Back in 2023, I experienced one of the most unnerving and scary nights of my life. I can't explain what happened. I never liked staying home alone, but after this night, I don't think I've ever stayed overnight anywhere alone since. At the time, my fiancé Ryan and I were looking to buy a house since our lease just expired in our apartment, and we didn't want to renew for another whole year. One of my dad's oldest friends owned a house in the area that was currently available to rent because the previous renters had passed away. Since my dad was so close to the owner of the house, he agreed to let us stay there for a cheap rate, and also told us we could stay as long as we wanted. Basically, we were renting month to month in a nice home in a beautiful area of town. It took a lot of house hunting stress away. The only downside for me was that I wasn't thrilled about moving into a house where both residents died within a few weeks of each other inside the house. They were old, so it wasn't like a vicious death or anything, but still, I didn't love the idea. It didn't bother Ryan at all. He was excited about the low price tag of the house. He's not one to believe in bad energy, but I most definitely am. I remember when we first moved in, he would constantly mock me for being afraid. He even went as far as to mimic ghost sounds just to mess with me. Don't get me wrong, Ryan's a great guy. I know I'm painting a picture of him being a jerk, but he's always just joking around. Sometimes you need to knock him down when he plays around too much, and I always did. When we first moved in, it had this awful tan carpet all throughout the house. My dad's friend told us that he was having someone come over to tear out the carpet and put in hardwoods because the carpet was stained all over the place, on top of just being ugly. In the living room, there was a giant dark stain on the carpet. The first day we moved in, Ryan asked my dad's friend if he knew where the stain came from, and he shared information I wish I hadn't heard. It's really sad. The woman fell, hit her head on an end table, and the stain was from the blood. They think that was what led to her passing. She went to the hospital that night, and unfortunately, she never came home. Then he proceeded to tell us that her husband had passed away just a few weeks before her. He had a heart attack in the basement. I was horrified to be living in this house, even just temporarily, but sometimes you need to do what's most cost efficient, and this was it. We had only been there for maybe 2 days when they came to do the floors. I was so happy when the carpet was gone. He also had someone come in and paint the inside of the house. Just that little touch-up made the house feel so much better. After those little cosmetic touches, I started to settle in. It also helped that he added one of those annoying security systems inside the house as well. Every time you open the door, you get the automated voice saying, "Front door open." It got old very fast. Even though it was annoying, it did make me feel better. It was a little over a month of being there, and Ryan was leaving for the weekend. It was his bachelor party. I was a little on edge about being alone for a couple of nights, but by this time, the house felt like a home. I also had the company of our cattle dog, Rex, which made me feel safe. Friday, July 7th, I left for work at 7 a.m. I kissed Ryan goodbye because he was heading out a few hours later and wouldn't be back until Sunday afternoon. I got home that evening and felt a little off. I was positive that I was just feeling anxious because I was alone. I ordered myself Thai food since Ryan hates it and it's my favorite. I put on The Office and just watched my feel-good show until I started getting tired. I think it was close to midnight, and I began to hear this weird noise coming from the basement. This was an older house, so I just kept telling myself that the house is creaking. I turned off the TV and started heading into the bedroom. That's when Rex ran to the basement door and started barking. This was not normal behavior for Rex. He was protective but quiet. He didn't really bark a lot. He mostly howled when he would get vocal. But on this night, he was barking. He sounded tense, like something was wrong. I tried consoling him, but he wouldn't calm down. I don't know why I did this, but I slowly opened the basement door and turned the light on. Rex stopped barking and started to growl. I was gonna go down and just make sure everything was okay, and then I remembered that the old man died down there. I know it sounds crazy, but that freaked me out. I felt frozen at the top of the stairs. I couldn't even look. I tried taking a picture of the basement from the top of the stairs, but it was just too dark down there to see anything. I was too scared to go down there myself and look, especially with Rex losing his mind. I shut the door and went to the bedroom. Eventually, Rex calmed down and joined me in the room. He wasn't barking or growling anymore. Instead, he stayed at the bottom of the bed staring at the door all night. It was like he was on high alert. This scared me more than his barking. I slept horribly that night. I expected someone or something to run into my room at any moment. I made my coffee in the morning and got ready for the day. I planned on catching up on some chores around the house that I had been neglecting. I gathered all my laundry, and when I made my way to the laundry room, I freaked out. This may seem small and trivial to some, but it freaked me out like you can't even believe. The washing machine was sticking out from the wall several feet. Not just a little wiggle, this thing was nearly in the middle of the room. At first, I ran out of the room. I couldn't figure out how or why something like that could happen. Once I composed myself, I went back to the washer and checked it out. Other than being in the middle of the room, nothing else seemed out of place. I moved it back to where it was, and it wasn't easy. This was a heavy unit. I felt like I should have heard it moving. Even though I was completely on edge, I continued with everything I had planned for the day. I called Ryan and told him about everything. I could tell he was skeptical and apprehensive, but he still believed me mostly and was concerned. He's just one of those people who believes everything can be explained by something. That's probably true in this situation as well, but I still couldn't shake these nerves and that horrible feeling brewing inside. He told me they were heading home first thing in the morning, and that he would be back sometime in the late morning, which was at least earlier than they originally planned. Saturday night was a lot like Friday night. I got some food, cuddled up with Rex on the couch, and watched The Office. It was 9:18 that night, and I heard something loud outside the house. It was loud enough that it made me jump, even with the TV super loud. It sounded like an explosion. Then I got a notification on my phone from the garage camera. I pulled it up, and there was a video. My garage door was open in the video, which is crazy. We literally never used the garage door. We only used the garage for storage. We didn't park in it because we both had bigger vehicles. In the video, you can see flashes coming from the driveway. The video doesn't do it justice though. It just sounds like fireworks. I opened the door from the house that led to the garage. I looked in the driveway, and there appeared to be no evidence of fireworks, an explosion, or anything. It was the strangest thing. I saved the video and closed the garage door. Trying to get comfortable in bed after that was not easy. After the incident in the driveway, my heart was racing because I had no idea what had just happened. My brain was confused because I couldn't even process why I was scared. I couldn't tell if I was scared of something insidious in the house that I can't see, or if there was someone actually messing with me. I think I got up 3 separate times and made sure the security alarm was set. Just like the previous night, Rex stood guard at the bottom of the bed, staring at the door, occasionally letting a light growl slip. I ended up falling asleep eventually. I woke up suddenly because someone was pounding on my front door. I looked at the time, and it said 3:39 in the morning. I had the bedroom door shut, so he couldn't get out of the room. I just stayed in bed. I couldn't move if I even wanted to. It wasn't like somebody knocking. It was just a continuous banging on the door. Finally, I got up. Just before opening the bedroom door, I heard front door open, coming from the security system. I ran to lock the bedroom door. I grabbed my phone to call the cops, but it wouldn't turn on. Whenever I would press the side button to get the screen to light up, it just lit up with a black screen. I think this was the moment I started to cry. I looked over, and I was able to visibly see the doorknob shaking. I started screaming, "Go away." I called the police and told them someone had broken into the house. They showed up promptly and found nothing out of the ordinary except for the fact that the front door was wide open. Nothing had been stolen, and there was no sign of any foul play at all. I showed the police the video, and they assumed it was most likely some kids lighting fireworks off, even though there was zero evidence of that in the driveway. As for the door opening, the cops told me it must have been the wind. Yeah, that's it. The wind on a humid July night is gonna shoot open a door that's locked with a deadbolt. That really nailed the case on this one. After the police left, it was nearly dawn. I took Rex and drove to my parents' house. I stayed there until Ryan got home. I told them what happened. They were kind of on the side of the police, but still comforted me anyway. When Ryan got home, I told him everything, and he didn't think I had a brush with anything paranormal as I did, but he did feel like something had happened, and he was concerned. We did stay at that house for a couple more months until we found our new home. Nothing ever happened again. Before that weekend, I had never experienced anything even remotely unexplainable like that, and nothing like that has ever happened since. At the time of writing this, we're almost to the 3-year anniversary of that night. Whatever I experienced that weekend, I just hope I never experience anything like that again. I used to live next door to a bar, and I hated it. Thankfully, it wasn't like right next door. There was a line of trees that went all the way around the bar, so I did have some privacy. However, from my driveway, if I looked just right, I could literally see the side of the bar, and that's where everyone would go outside and smoke. Most of the time, it wasn't that bad. It was only horrible on the weekends, or if the local sports team was playing, which seemed like every other day sometimes. I should also say that at the time of the story, I was working retail. That means I worked most weekends, so they would be partying it up at the bar being loud, and I was trying to sleep. It was a great time. Out of all the annoying nights I dealt with, and there were many, one night specifically still sticks with me, and is probably something that will haunt me for the rest of my life. It was a Saturday night, and my best friend Layla was coming over. She's like a sister to me. We've been friends since elementary school and still are to this day. Around the time of this story, Layla was working hard trying to set me up with anybody. This was kind of before all the dating apps became popular. The apps would have really helped me break the ice. I'm an incredibly awkward person. I've had a hard time interacting with strangers. The thought of going up to a random woman and asking her out seemed more terrifying than the scariest horror movie you could think of. I'm a massive dork, and I love that about myself. I love my comic books, my collectibles, and more than anything, just relaxing at home. It's kind of hard to meet people when being a homebody is the main part of my identity. That's why Layla was trying to be the ultimate wingman. It wasn't going well, though. I had a few dates, but nothing struck. So, on this specific night, Layla came over for dinner and to hang out for a while until her girlfriend got out of work. We had a great night. She gave me some of her classic Layla dating tips to try out next time I go on a date. Around 10 that night, her girlfriend called her and told her she was leaving work. I walked Layla to her car and said goodbye. As I watched her drive away, I heard loud noises coming from the bar. I glanced over and saw a group of maybe 7 or 8 girls. They were clearly drinking and feeling good. They were laughing and talking loudly. I could clearly hear every word one of the girls was saying to her friend. I shook my head, and just as I was getting ready to turn around and walk back inside, I noticed one of the girls looking in my direction. I looked around to see if she could have maybe been staring at someone else, but it clearly looked like she was staring at me. I didn't react because I still wasn't sure if she was looking at me or something else. All the women outside started to head back into the bar, but this woman stayed back a little bit. It was like she wasn't with the group of girls, even though she was standing with them. Then she waved. She had to have been waving at me. There was literally no one else around. I didn't wave back at first. Then she started waving more aggressively. I hesitantly waved back, and she reacted by blowing a kiss in my direction. All I did was smile and go inside. Clearly, it was just a woman at the bar who may have had one too many drinks. After the weird interaction outside, I went in and started playing video games since I had a weekend off for once. I couldn't think of a better way to spend the evening. Around 1:30 that morning, I heard a knock on the door. I paused the game I was playing. I heard the gentle knock again. I wasn't that freaked out because of the close proximity to the bar. I've had people show up at my doorstep before. Some people in this town really like to party. I was used to weird things like this happening. Just in case it was something serious, I got up and looked out the small window next to the front door. Nobody was standing there. At that moment, it pretty much confirmed that it was just someone from the bar being an idiot. My heart was racing a little bit, just because hearing a knock at the door at that hour is always a little jarring. I didn't get back on my game right away. I was sitting in my front room, reading something on my laptop. I would say maybe 15 minutes had passed since I heard the knock, and I got up to look out the window one more time, just to confirm nobody was outside.